Welcome to Ladies in Law, where real-world advice meets professional wisdom and empowerment in realms of law and business. Your hosts, Lisa Goucher, Dawn Smith, and Kellye Raymond, bring you innovative strategies, practical guidance, and inspirational stories. Join us as we inspire and support women to thrive in traditionally male-dominated fields. We're here to promote inclusivity and provide practical advice for success. Hi, Lisa here with Dawn and a wonderful friend, special guest, Jessica Dean. Oh my gosh, I got her traveling on the road. She is here for us. I'm like so excited, Jessica, because we are like a year into this podcast and I know I've been hitting you up, so I'm thankful that it's happening today. I mean, she is a rock star trial attorney, like the work-life balance thing. I don't even know how she does it all. She's got her fur babies, her husband, her firm. Like she is really doing it all. And over and above everything else, I just have to tell you, she is just a giver. She has the biggest heart. She loves her clients, to the moon and back. And my first question to you, Jessica, can you just tell me, how are you managing it all? Like you've continued to explode in the industry.
Sometimes not so gracefully. I will say that since COVID, that has been harder than it's ever been in my entire life. A huge part of managing a really stressful job where you don't get to control timeframes. You can try to have boundaries, but if your client is fighting to get a day in court before he or she dies and you get a minute, you have to sometimes just say those boundaries go to the side. I think it's just more important than anything else, making sure your inner circle knows why you're doing it. And when the crazy is done, even before you give yourself self-care, you kind of build in a few days to recognize they allowed it to happen. And if you're not really thoughtful about doing that, and it's like in all life situations, it's really easy to let the people you love the most forget to tell them how much that they're important, take them for granted. They're the first person that gets your anger or aggravation. And so I have to really think after I've been in a 5-week trial or a 2-month trial, no matter how tired I am, there's this person that allowed it to happen. And I need to make sure he knows how much that means to me and just build that into, I'm not done with this one until that is clear. And so oddly, that is a huge part of making everything go, because as long as you have people that are supporting your mission, I find that I can manage almost anything. When that gets out of whack, everything gets not doable. And I think that's why being a trial lawyer, you see so many people that are really great flame out, is that you keeping that going is tricky.
Yeah, for sure. I love that you said that. I'm a trial lawyer, and I could never have done what I've done without an amazing husband and family. So just taking a minute to acknowledge the people that allow us to put everything into a case and put them completely to the side and just understand that it's impossible to do what we do without that. So thank you so much for saying that to all the people that support their trial lawyers. We love you so much.
I want to ask you, your authenticity really, really resonates with jurors, your clients. You're just is that just a part of your naturalness? Because you're not, as much as you've done and as intimidating as you can be, I still feel like I can pick up the phone and call you. I feel like I can text you, like I texted you and said, hey, will you come on this podcast? So, what do you think about the authenticity that you bring to your cases, to your clients, to your life?
Well, first, you're wonderful and have been for 20 years. So you have kind of a special past. But, I came from a lower middle class family. I've come to learn as I've grown up and have this really weird, neat job where you meet people in a time of crisis, and so you get closer than you would. I often think of my job like those bonds you make when you're in college or you're young that become just so much harder when you grow up. I have this incredible job because people are scared, and you need to learn their life history to represent them, where you just get closeness that at least I struggle to get outside of work as quickly as I did when I was younger. And I think the combo of having just a very loving, warm, authentic, blue-collar family, I've come to learn, somewhat dysfunctional and a little crazy. And some of the reason I can handle trial madness is my house is a little maddening, but there was warmth, was extraordinary. And I think I inherited some of that. And getting to do a job where I get to fight with people I think are really terrible is this unique, sometimes really heavy, but often beautiful thing where I have power.
That was a beautiful answer.
It's just really neat to have a job where you have meaning. I feel like people right now are really trying to figure out how to do something that matters. And then to top that off on getting to do it for people that often grew up very similar to how I grew up. It's easy to be authentic. It's easy to
relate.
Yeah, to feel comfortable in their home. And I oddly do so much better not talking about the case at all, but sitting down with, the photos that every family has in shoe boxes, and then the 5 that actually make it into albums, and that kind of thing makes it, when things are too hard or dark, just to remember that this is not just a process, but a person. And so, I don't know, it's both selfish and that it's what keeps me focused. And my wonderful family, particularly my mom, who might be the sweetest human alive, and just
she is.
Similar life experiences, I think, for some, not all, but my mama's, she's a good egg.
So let me ask you this, because you own a law firm and you have for many years now.
10 years.
That's amazing.
Like 2 weeks ago.
Congratulations. And so being a trial lawyer and running a business, I know about that. It's really hard. And then with family and everything like that, can you talk to us just a little bit about the tools you use on a daily basis to be able to keep all of those things firing on all cylinders? Sure.
I think kind of like in any field, taking some time to physically keep yourself in a good spot. My flight was delayed an hour and a half, and I had a choice between a shower or going to the gym for 25 minutes. And this is going to the gym for 25 minutes and putting on a sweater. Sorry. but surely at the end of the day, I feel like if you don't take care of your body, you're going to start falling apart. If you don't take care of your loved ones, you're going to start falling apart. If you don't communicate, and this is the one that I'm struggling with the most with your team when you own a firm, and with remoteness, catching up with all of the trials that didn't happen in COVID. Our firm is one of the last firms in the country battling against Johnson & Johnson. Don't use baby powder. It has this carcinogen in it that will hurt you. When you're really time pressured, people are moving already a lot, and you have remoteness. One of the key things is trust, and trust means time and communication, and those things are getting harder and harder and trickier and trickier. And so I think being very open about that with the people that you're relying on and how we can figure it out together is also really key. Sorry, this is such a weird aside, but my Lyft driver this morning, I was talking to him about this, and he was like, he's in IT, but he was like, we couldn't do game days anymore or happy hours because you just can't get everyone in the same space very often. And so this company bought people game consoles, and they play some interactive game together every Wednesday night. And I was like, I might need to tweak that a little bit. But, I really do think when you have a job that demands more than most jobs in the world, knowing that you're fighting and rowing together is hugely important. And this isn't telling you how I survive it as much as acknowledging that it's become trickier. But I just think finding ways for people to know that they have a team and know the people on their team is so important. And so I'm really trying to figure that out.
Have you learned any good tools for that? I mean, because when people are remote, and we have a lot of our staff works remote, how have you been able to kind of have those events that mean something, where there's those bonding experiences that you can do?
So one thing, and it's just completely a technology thing that we started using, is called Slack. And at first I was like, gosh, I already have email and people, I get 100 texts a day. Do we really need a third communication tool? But it allows these channels that people can join, and they're really functional for firms, so that if you have a case and you just want everybody who's on that case to already be in one spot and you don't have to auto-populate their name, that's really functional. But it also has this very social function. Like we have one that's the bourbon channel. There's one that's crap talking about the other side. There's one that's my favorite, Dogs of Dobbs. There's one that's just good news for what's happening in your life. And surprisingly, or because I was a little bit skeptical, that has been lovely. We've also just, I think a lot of firms have one big party a year. We now have one in the summer where we invite families, and, not kind of the have too much drinking at the end of the year that often happens, but the let's get around a wave pool and just be stupid. That's helped a lot. What was a big fail is Zoom. I just feel like this kind of avenue is really effective. Having a question and answer with a judge is really effective. Mediations are really effective. But training, happy hours, group discussions, I think everyone starts looking at their own emails or text or life, or like, oh gosh, I don't like my neck. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I find it to be remarkably ineffective as a tool for bonding and mentoring. So that's what I figured out so far.
I love that. I mean, how do we go about training our people if we're working remotely, because there is such a disconnect. And then like we just brought on a couple of new folks and trying to get all of their technology working to where they can get into all the files and get, to all of our platforms and everything like that. I mean, just trying to figure out a balance between the remote work, but the world has changed since COVID.
Another two things we're doing is now 3 times a year, we're trying to have in-person training, which is a little bit longer than it, used to when it was easy and everybody wasn't working in different places. Let's have a half day, which honestly is much easier in managing our jobs, much easier to coordinate. To get a 2.5 day training is something, but we've done that. We also have reached, am I interrupting you, Lisa? No, okay. We've also just decided, and I don't know if this is the right balance. I suspect there isn't a right, because it's very individual based, and we have some people that don't follow this pattern. But our initial thought on remote working was staggering it so that we had people in the office on all these days. And that I think is dumb. Sorry to anyone who's doing it. I just do. I think it's dumb. I think there's a certain number of people you need there every day so that printing can occur, so that emergency things can go out. But for most work, if you trust the people you work with, there's an immense amount of flexibility about where they're at. The loss isn't in the work product. It's in people that aren't already integrated in the firm. It's in mentoring. It's in keeping bonds. And so we decided on Monday and Friday bookends that people came in, and that we cater lunch. We have gym classes on those days. Obviously, if you're traveling, that doesn't apply to you. And some people really don't like that because they like being able to work from the mountains on a long weekend, and this cuts off those weekends. But I needed help. probably in the opposite way than many people, but defining the end and beginning of a work week. What happened for me is everything became, there just weren't any non-work days. Like I needed something to remind myself that there's structure. And I think for other people, it's really helpful to say, okay, no, I'm resetting. And so this is maybe too much in the weeds for our staff, because I also, like the second week of COVID where I was like, oh my goodness, this might last 2 weeks. I read that one wrong, but I made cookies for everybody, all of our staff. And I was like, okay, I'm going to hand deliver these and put them on the porch and just wait. And my husband is fabulous. That's how I do this in life. And so we did people north of Dallas one day and south, and it took 4.5 hours because they live so far away. And it really was this obvious, but sometimes you learn from experience, like getting to work is a huge loss for certain people. So we went to 9 days of every 10 working. 25% of each of our staff get off either a Monday or a Friday, so they get 2 times a month. They get a long week, and they only have to tack in a half hour a day to make that happen. And so with the bookend idea and the 9-day week idea, you're only in the office 6 days a month. You still get 2 long weekends, and where if you want to work from Hawaii for a week, you have that long weekend, right? Like, but where hopefully we're seeing each other at lunch and every once in a while doing yoga or our boot camp together. And that's helped. But I will tell you, I'm still struggling. I still don't feel like it's the same. And that might be too much of my own, like I've been in trial nonstop and not COVID, but I'm still working on it.
The struggle is real, and just trying to figure out how to, because I think, I mean, you know, Lisa's told me so much about you, that you care so much about your employees, you care about your clients, you know, you care so much about, you know, just doing right by everybody that is with you and around you. And that takes a lot of just trying and failing and trying and succeeding and just continuing to improve every day, and I guess giving yourself some grace. You know, I mean, I don't know how you're in trial for 6 weeks and you're still running a firm. That's amazing. I mean, how do you handle that with like your support staff and the people around you? You have to have like an amazing team around you that supports you during those time periods.
I really think follow up once you're done. Here are the things that mattered. The judge mentioned our page lines were the most organized he's ever seen. Letting the briefing team know the results of the motions in limine, and not just, hey, we need to fix these 3 problems, but we won these things. Thank you for keeping the 17 things going I normally do while I was sucked in. That's the biggest thing. And this is very much an aside, but I grew up Southern Baptist. And so obviously using grace when we sang almost every other week, Amazing Grace was part of my vocabulary, but that was the context I used it in. And I'm in Portland, Oregon right now. And my favorite client, who died 2 years ago, is from here. And she was a nurse, and just prickly is the word for it. Like at first she's like, I don't like lawyers. She was not kind to me at all. But by the end, I genuinely think she loved me and cared about me. And one of the things she put in her medical records was, please give me the grace to be able to handle what's coming. And I just, it's now become my favorite. So sorry you used that word, but it's become my favorite concept. Like, the idea that we can't control our circumstances, but how we react to them is as old as time. But there's something about the word grace that just throws that entire meaning at me really quick. So anyway, sorry, that was...
No, I'm so glad you shared that, because we deal in so much just emotional trauma on a daily basis, and to be effective trial lawyers, we have to feel that, like have to, and I can tell how close you were to this client just by your reaction. And you can't tell somebody's story unless you have sat next to them and really felt through all of those really hard times. And it takes a special person to be able to do that, to be able to get that close, but then and feel it so much that it becomes a part of you, and then learning how to release it, because you got to release it and move on to the next thing. How do you do that?
So I always, after trial, need a couple of days to watch something that will make me cry. Whether I win or lose. And it used to be Moulin Rouge, which is really weird. If you've seen it, I'm like, come one day. And I'm like, I don't know. But it's really hard to just, you've been multitasking and not just doing 2 things at once and 4 things at once, to hear normal conversation and actually be interactive and not think, I don't want to hear about your dog. I need to... Even when you don't, you just can't. I struggle feeling normal. And so I'm desperately missing normal, but I'm not normal. And so I take a few days. I actually went to, what is that Keenan class that everybody did for a while, like 10 years ago?
Keenan class? Don Keenan?
Stuff.
Yeah, reptile. Yeah.
I actually went to one of his classes and asked him that question. I had just finished a trial. It's actually one of the best cases I've ever had in terms of results, but I was just not okay. And it like, he had won this giant, like really neat case that changed how the state of Georgia handled foster care. And he was describing how he did it, but some of the stuff that happened to these little kids that he described, I can't even talk about without crying. I don't even know these people. It was just horrible. But he said what he does is goes to the mountains for about a week and kind of just recoups himself. But he mentioned on the way, he stopped at like a Barnes and Noble, and the staff found him holding a kid's book and just kind of like rocking in the middle of the aisle. And I just, like, it was just so, we carry a heavy burden. Like if you're going to really tell someone's story, I kind of wall myself off from really thinking about it until usually closing. And then I'm like, I've got to think about this. and that's why I think at the end, it's a mixture of exhaustion, feeling like you're behind in all things life, combined with just feeling deep loss. And I haven't figured out a great thing other than knowing I need a minute, and usually a minute to find some way to cry it out. And I also dance by myself.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Like my dad woke us up. He worked nights on Saturday mornings playing Pink Floyd on the top of his lungs. So I'll like watch the wall and just, it's real strange.
No, I think that's great. I mean, just, you know what, we all have these coping things that we do because it's all consuming, to just be able to stand next to somebody, and then the gravity of the situation that you're in, like they're relying on you for everything. I mean, you can't screw this up. You have to give everything that you have. To where that, what you said that really resonated with me is that, you got to take care of yourself. You have to keep your body healthy. You have to keep your mind healthy. You have to take those moments for yourself to be able to be what you have to be for that next person, and acknowledging that you do that, and you do it however you can. If it's going to the mountains, if it's going dancing, if it's listening or watching a movie. I'm a big proponent of watching movies. Like my husband goes crazy. I watch movies over and over again because they're like kind of survivor type movies. Like, I mean, if I watch that movie and if that person could get through it and it's based on a true story, if they could get through it, then I know I can get through it.
The George Washington song in Hamilton, outgunned, outmanned. That's
yes. Yes. Yes, 100%. We're just geeking out as trial lawyers right now. Yes.
Yeah, really, that's more in trial where I'm like, I have a bad day. I'm like, got this. This is what's supposed to happen.
Well, and just acknowledging that it's okay to feel that loss and that exhaustion, and just kind of leaving it all on the table in closing argument, and just being able to walk away from something and know that it was hard, but you gave it everything you had. And then, somehow it's okay. As long as no matter what happens, as long as you did everything that you could to win for your client, to win justice for what happened to them, then somehow you can move forward, and it's okay, whatever it takes to be able to move forward.
I believe that because I have found, even when I didn't get the result that I really hoped for, people feeling like they were really fought for. The families that love me, it's not related to whether I win or lose. It's just really, it's knowing someone fought. And I'm not saying there aren't cases where there hasn't been real financial heartache, but asbestos is a weird land where you often have families that are financially taken care of, and you're dealing with a recalcitrant last man standing. So that certainly changes the dynamic. But I don't know, it is kind of neat, even when things don't go your way, that you give people some kind of feeling that someone really cared.
All right, Jessica. So, with everything that's happened with COVID, and I know you're getting ready to move into a new space, are you tackling things in a different manner with the new space, and, incorporating the people who want to be hybrid versus in the office? And, do the people who want to be in the office miss the people who don't come to the office? Like, how is it today? What's the state of the union at Dobbs?
So we did kind of an inventory to ask people what they want. And the answer is they want it all. They don't want to share space, even though they only want to be in that space twice a month. And I'm like, which is a little tricky. And so ultimately, there's some really beautiful real estate that has these, extraordinary bar that you can go to, and the best gym you've ever seen. And God bless, that patio is gorgeous. And we just kind of stayed in a lower end type property. I love it because I don't like fancy. I don't want other people in suits to be around me. I want to be able to bring in my dogs. I love exposed brick stuff, but I'm not always reflective of most people. But we didn't do a significant upgrade in terms of the type of real estate. It's better because we really had some issues with not having parking and things like that. But we're all on the same floor. Everybody's their individualized space. And the things that really did frustrate people about our old property, it was the oldest building in downtown Dallas. Kind of cool, but maybe no sound proofing, and maybe the temperatures were never right. And so we did kind of solid human comfort upgrades, didn't get real fancy on anything else, but gave people their individual space, and people wanted dogs. I seriously want to get, but so far I've been outvoted by my partners. Like when you go to a professional website, you have partners, attorneys, staff. I want dogs of Dobbs.
Oh, you've got it cute.
I really want to put it on the website. This is Eleanor. This is Desmond. But I've not won that battle yet.
I think that really screams a lot about each of the attorneys, like to see their dogs and their pets and everything. I mean, I've been in your home, so I see how lucky your fur babies are and how blessed they are, So I think that's a phenomenal idea. We actually just had an attorney on, and she was the first one to really embrace taking her 3-month-old baby to AAJ. So I'm not suggesting that y'all take him to a conference, but why don't you put him on your site? And I mean, I love that idea.
I will be playing this clip to my partners at the next one.
Yeah, I'm 100% too. I'm with Lisa. Dogs of Dobbs, that's awesome.
And I know you got to go shortly. So I want to end with, because you've also been very pro people, but pro women. And, you've just excelled in your industry. You're an amazing trial attorney. But I also think it's really important to talk about how you have supported, enhanced, and inspired women. How do you see your role in that? I know you're doing your thing to the best for your client, but how do you see yourself now in that role for other women?
I wish I could say that I organically wanted to be a leader in this area, but that's not really true. I have all of these, it turns out, when you start thinking about implicit bias advantages. Go to a Women in Mass conference and see how many speakers are my height. I'm 5'10". God bless you if you're a short African-American woman. I mean, then you're just screwed. But it's not just sex and race that causes people to automatically have more authority in the eyes of a really messed up society. And so I love to argue. I have since I was born. Somebody gave me a job. I had very progressive bosses. And so I stood out as a leader for women by virtue of being a successful trial lawyer without wanting to have that role. And then I was asked to speak at women conferences, and I was asked to mentor women. And then I became more mindful of things that probably should have been obvious to me from the get-go. But oddly, now that I've reflected on it more, I often naturally gravitated to strengths that are often associated with women. But I say often because my law partner, Trey Branham, is one of the most kind, thoughtful, caring, considerate, good multitasker human beings I know. I can make people get passionate, but the person who truly remembers that you have a hearing the next day or remembers that your kid's going through a hard time, it's Trey Branham. It's not me. I wish that was my strength. But so oddly, I think it came by virtue of just this non-intended route. Now that I'm here, trying to find ways to support women to make things that allow people that are often taking the lead role of taking care of the home to still be amazing. But if you leave at 5 and don't get back on until 9, who cares? Or you're still getting it done. And to be really mindful, if you want to spend the first 6 months that your baby's alive bringing them into the office, cool. We have really tried to be mindful about giving more opportunities to allow people to do a really demanding job, but on their terms. And to me, that's what's more important than anything.
And it's not all about women and just catering to women in the workplace based on the hard jobs that we do either, is it?
No, I really think two things I've kind of thought about a lot is, kind of the trajectory for women is that we couldn't work. And then when we did, we were working and managing the household. And I really think it's important to give men more opportunities to manage the household. And so a big thing that was really hard to do as a manager was to have paternity leave. But if we truly want to empower women, I think in large part it's empowering men to do more in the home, including men that are amazing professionals that are working in our offices. And then I also just being at a lot of, almost every conference I go to has a women's lunch. And there's just a lot of male bashing. And look, I have my times where I need to talk about what my husband did. But, I do think that can be divisive. And that not every man that is mansplaining is a woman hater. Maybe they just do that to everybody because they're very, they don't communicate the way as everyone else. And that we all need to be cautious and more thoughtful about, while empowering each other, not putting down anybody else.
Right. Everybody, both sexes.
Yeah. And we had Simone on a while ago, and, you two are like-minded in that, just trying to keep women in the industry, right?
we want to keep women in the legal industry. Well, we want to keep women in law firms. I mean, it's so important. And I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think that's not going to change if the firms don't change. And so the strides that you're making to incorporate men and women with the ability to have that flexibility and get the job done and still be able to take care of their families and maybe not do it the conventional, traditional route, but like, look at the success that it reaps. And I just have enjoyed, I feel like I grew up with you. I mean, I'm older than you. I could like almost be your mother. So I just want to say, Jessica, it's been really such a blessing following you at all your stages, the previous firm, where you are now, how you started out. And I'm just super stoked to see what you're going to do this year. It's fun to be on the sideline watching. It's fun to be a service provider trying to make your life easier, because I know you're just juggling all the things. And you are just a godsend for showing up today. You're on the road. Thank you, Jessica. I'm so excited. I hope you make it to PALS.
I'm supposed to be in trial, but
of course.
I don't control my life. We'll see.
Thank you so much, Jessica. I'm so glad I finally got to meet you. I'm definitely getting your number. You're going to hear from me some more, because I want to talk to you about some of the things that we talked about today.
I would love that. And you have a stunning smile. I'm sure you've heard.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, I used my whitener today. That got me there.
All right. Thank you. And anybody who has comments, questions, anything, you can email us at hello@ladiesinlaw.com or comment below. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of Ladies in Law. We hope you're walking away inspired and ready to shake things up in law and business. Don't forget to hit subscribe and let us know what you think. Spread the word and share this podcast with your network. Follow us on socials for all the behind-the-scenes fun and sneak peeks of upcoming episodes. Until next time, keep rocking it, keep breaking the mold, and as always, keep aspiring to inspire.